right, can everybody hear me okay? Great, awesome. So let's go ahead and get started. My name is Sheree. I'm an account manager here at Workamajig, and today's webinar is going to be on conversations and to-dos. So hopefully everybody can see the support guide here. This is where I'm going to show you the information and the resources that you can use aside from the video that we're watching. So to get here, you can type in support.workamajig.com. This is going to bring you into our help guide. And then I'm just going to simply use this little search box and type in conversations overview. Oops. And we're going to come into conversations overview here. And basically, we're going to be talking about how to use the conversations within Workamajig. It's pretty much all of your internal and external communication. Conversations can be added and viewed from pretty much any Today page in Workamajig, as long as it's, of course, you set up as your default. I'll show you other ways to get to conversations, but basically, you can add a conversation to projects, to tasks, to deliverables, client invoices, vendor invoices, project request forms, client records, vendor records, publication stations, contacts, leads, and campaigns and opportunities. So as I mentioned before, it's pretty much everything within Workamajig. And down here below, you have other resources. It talks about the setup, which we are going to cover today. I won't be able to show you every single place that I just mentioned, but I will do my best to try to show you as much as I can. Okay, so just bringing you here, and I will answer questions probably in between the conversations and the to-dos, just so that I can try to get through a lot of this for you. Okay, so let's go into the back-end setup first. So going into your main menu, for those of you who have rights to set this up, you are going to come into Admin Manager, System Setup. We're going to be under Account Information. And then the first thing I want you to look at is this Connections. So this is so you can set up the incoming email, and it's this area right here. You can give this link that I'm going to show you in just a minute. You can give it to your IT person and have them set up either a POP or an IMAP. And basically, this is going to be a brand new email. It's not going to be a personal email, and it's not going to be your work email. And basically, the way it works is conversations that you're emailing out and people want to reply back to, and you want those replies to come feedback into the project or the conversation area. This is the way to do it. You'll have to set up this email. I'm not going to go through the whole setup process of this, but I will take you into the help guide, and then you're going to simply type in setup incoming. Here we go. First thing, set up incoming and outbound emails here. Okay, so this talks about how to set it up. It talks about that mailbox that I just showed you. And here's an example of it as well. So this is what you're going to set up. And actually, you can just give this whole link right to your IT person or whoever sets up your mail server. Okay, so that's number one. Let's go back into our setup area again. Now, for those of you who don't have admin rights, you would have to ask your administrators, your system admins, or somebody who has the rights into these areas. Okay, so the next thing we want to look at are your transaction preferences. And it's going to open up right away to contact management if you've been here before. Now, if you haven't, it might look like this. So down on the bottom, it says show advanced options. You're just going to go ahead and click that. It's going to bring you into contact management, and over here to the right, it's all about the conversations. You guys can set up defaults. You can require a conversation type if you turn on the types for it. You can do statuses as well. Down here for outgoing emails, this is the email subject format. You guys can click the drop down arrow and pick something else if you don't like this. And then down below, I have the option to use drafts with conversations. So what that does is if I'm creating a conversation and maybe I need to come back to it and finish it, What I'm going to do is check mark the draft box, and I can save it for later, then come back and then uncheck the draft box and send it out. But if that draft box is check marked, then you're not going to be able to send it. It's not going to go to anyone. Okay, so that's the first setup part. Then the next one we're going to go to is our daily emails. Same area, just down here on the bottom. Daily emails, and this box. This is include sender when emailing to-dos, conversations, and diary posts. Now, the diary post is really a project conversation. Okay, so it was just something that we used to call it in the past. So if you are one of those people who likes to get copies of everything, then you can go ahead and check mark this. Now, I will warn you, once you guys turn this on, you guys will get a ton of emails. So just be cautious of that. You can try it and then maybe later on turn it off. All right. So next, let's go into our notifications. So down here, over here in this area, you see conversations. This is where you guys can set up conversations to go out as emails only, system messages, which means it's going to show up in your approval bell up here at the top, or you can do both, how mine is set up. So now if I go to my approval bell, maybe down here at the bottom, you're going to see your messages. Okay, so again, depending on how you guys are setting up your system, you can get those conversations to show up here as well. These are just options I'm showing you. You don't have to do them. Okay, all right. So next, let's just go ahead. So that's pretty much everything for the conversation setup. We will come back to this area again once we do the to-dos, but now let's go ahead and start at our Today PM page. So bear with me. So if you guys have your default Today page set up, depending on your role, your conversations are going to show up right here in the middle. Okay, this first one here, this is just letting you know that you're on the team of the project, and these are conversations that are taking place. This doesn't necessarily mean you have to go into every single one, not unless you want to, and go check them out. The ones you're more concerned with are the ones under here, over here to the right-hand side. Open. This is telling me I have 17 things or activities that I need to take care of. You can click them open. It's going to open up the side panel. And again, all that information that I've started will show up here as well. Okay. So I'm going to go deeper into this in just a few minutes, but I wanted to kind of show you. You can add a conversation here as well through the plus sign, and you can click this conversation. Once you do that, I can put in my subject, I can link it to a project, right? And I can, let's just say, let's pick a project. Ooh, goodness gracious. Here. Actually, let's do this. So before I do that, I wanted to show you, when you create a note, when you're on the note, it's a personal note. So it's just something that you want to document. If you notice down here, there's a date. It's using today's date, but the completed box is check marked. So what that's saying is this is an internal note that I'm adding, and it's not going anywhere other than maybe where I'm going to link it. So, you know, we'll just say internal note. Maybe it's not linked to a project, or you can, you can click the drop down arrow and I could link it to whatever project. I could link it to an opportunity if I wanted to. Now you'll notice once I selected the project down over here to the right, it is actually linking it to the company record. It pulled in my primary contact, and this note is actually assigned to myself. So this was actually a note I'm putting into the system. There are other features here. I have some GL company stuff turned on, so you might not see that on yours. Over here to the right, if this was a note relating to an opportunity in the system, I would be able to do that and link it here as well. So over here to the right, this is where you guys can add an attachment. You can add other people to this note if you want to give them an email about this note that you're sending out. And here's that draft button I mentioned. So again, if I was not ready to send this out, I could go ahead and hit the draft box and then come back later and finish. Next, we have our conversation types. You guys can create types for them as well. So here I have, I've created this my own list. So of course yours might be completely different, but again, these are just different ways to select different types for the types of notes that you're entering in the system, right? All right, so coming back out of here, I'm going to come back down. What I wanted to show you here is we have this save and follow up. So what I can do now is maybe I want to set up an activity for somebody. I can quickly hit save and follow up. It's going to save my original note and it's going to create a new note for me where I can send it to somebody else. So maybe in this case, I want to create this and I want to give it to, you know, the Gavin here. And this is going to be, I don't know, another internal note. And, you know, maybe you want him to follow up with, you know, client. And what this is going to do is it's going to create an activity for Gavin to take care of. And it's going to show up on his list of conversations underneath this open box, right? So now I can go ahead and save. But before I do that, two other features. You can make this private so that nobody can see the detail. And you can also invite clients to see this as well. So to do that, of course, you would click the plus sign, look for your client, and then you could email it out that way. Or you can go to this email tab and send it out just like a regular email. Now, the system will let you know if your contact does not have an email. So kind of keep that in mind. Kind of hard for me to send this out if there's no email to my contact. Okay, so the system will always let you know that. But in this case, I'm just going to say, I want you to follow up with the client on Friday. And then I can just go ahead and save. And I'm going to make this not visible to my client and save it. All right. And there we go. Okay. So again, that's how you can add a conversation here. The other tabs here, this is just saying what I need to do for today, this week, my unread messages, and I also have the ability to set up my favorites. So if there's a conversation that you want to keep track of, you can set it up as your favorites. You'll be able to come in here and look and come here and just view those conversations that are pertaining to that. All right. The next thing I wanted to show you, besides from creating a conversation from here, you can also come to this plus sign next to your name and come down here for conversation. So for those of you who do not have the Today PM page, it doesn't matter. I know some people like to have, you know, projects listing page as their default page. This is just an easy way for you to get to the conversation as well. Okay, so going back to our Today PM page, I wanted to bring you to this items needing attention. It also lists your activities here. So once I click into this, I can open this up. These are letting me know all of my activities that are taking place. I can click them open. Over here to the right is what I wanted to show you next, is all of the areas that you can connect this one conversation. I can click this little pencil icon. I can link it to a project, to a campaign. Here's those vendor invoices and client invoices. I can link everything right from here, as well as an opportunity and lead. So theoretically, I would have 6 new places that I could link it to, as well as linking it to multiple projects. So I just insert row, I click my drop down arrow, maybe, and I can select whatever I want from here. And in this case, I selected project, and then I just typed in the projects that I want this one conversation to show up. So I know people like to use this for campaigns so that it hits just that campaign. And of course, all of those projects are linked to your campaign and you would still see that one conversation take place. Okay. All right. Let's see, what else can we do? The other place I wanted to show you is the listing screens. Over here to the left, down here below, you have conversations. These are reports that you guys can create. Now, when I click into that, it's going to show activities. And I apologize, but that's what we used to call them in the past. So these are just reports, conversation reports. You can open them up, you can run them, kind of see what's here, click them open. maybe. So here you can see that I have my statuses or my types with all of these conversations as well. So this is just another way for you to view those conversations if you don't use the two other methods I just showed you. And you can also see the statuses here too, whether they're open, whether they're closed. Another way for you guys to get here as well is same thing, from the magnifying glass, views, and conversations. Same exact list, two different ways to get there. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up a project. Let me come in here. Let's just go into this one. Let's see what we got in here. So on a project, if you have any conversations, they are going to show up in here. So this was definitely a bad example. Let's see if we can open up another one. Let's go into this one. Okay, here we go. So on this project, I have my conversations. You can even favorite your conversations. You can kind of see them here. This is where you can come down in the bottom and view all conversations related to this project. Now, what I like about this is now I can reply to this post. I can even edit it. I can unsubscribe myself. Maybe I was added to the wrong post and I don't need to be a part of it anymore. You can actually unsubscribe yourself from it. And of course, if you're using it for a deliverable, you can create a deliverable right from this conversation that might have a file. Okay. Here's your search criteria up here. You can type in your subjects and it's going to narrow down what you see here. You can do it by task. So maybe I had a specific task. I only want to see conversations related to that particular task. And I didn't want to do that. And okay, sorry about that. And you can also do it by type. So if you guys are using those types, then this is a good way to filter, again, those conversations by those, right? All right, and stop. Goodness. So let's go in. I'm going to come into this edit tab here. And what I wanted to show you is this conversation is going to look very different than for me clicking this plus sign or the plus sign next to the name. It's very short and sweet. I can come in here and start typing in a person's name. Once I do that, the system is going to search, and this is actually an employee in my company. So again, I could do it this way. I don't know if you guys can see it from your end, but it has a couple of symbols that you can use. So if I type in a pound sign and type in, AFCG, it'll give me a list of projects that I can use. Or I can say, well, I want to grab this particular project that I've got here that I'm working on, and it will grab every single person on my team and pull them into this post. Okay. So again, multiple ways that you can do this. You can also do it by company. If you click the @ symbol and type in the company name, it'll bring in all of the contacts from that company. Now, if you don't like that, you can do it by clicking into the 2 sign or 2 icon, and you can click the double carets. I can look at staff, maybe just client contacts all together, project team. We give you these other options that you guys can also use. Okay, so different ways to use these. You got the delete button here if you need to. And of course, I don't want to save this, so I'm just going to go ahead and cancel. All right. One last thing I want to talk about before I leave this project is you want to make sure that you set up your conversations for your projects. So under system settings, down here, you're going to see recent conversations, but you have the ability to include sales conversations here. So this is not on by default. My system has everything turned on, but this is where you guys are going to decide, do you want the sales conversations to show up in your projects? Okay, do you have to? No, I'm just letting you know that you can add that. And where do you want your conversations to show up? I like it to be on the right side, right down the middle. But if you uncheck this, it's going to show up over here to the left side. Okay. All right, moving on, let's go into our Today Creative page. That page is going to be a little bit different for conversations because it's not straight down the middle. It's actually in a tab by itself. So once I click into that conversation, those same tabs are going to show up again. Okay, so theirs works a little bit differently, but they can click into them, open them up, read them. If there's something new, I'll be able to see that, you know, here's a conversation that's taking place. And of course, I can go to my open ones and start working through my open activities or conversations that are set up. Okay, same idea, it's just a little bit of a different way to get to them. Now let's go look at our tasks. And what I also wanted to bring to your attention is this folder icon. This is how a creative could get to the conversations, but this one's going to look a little bit differently. Again, well, in this case, it does look the same right here, but this is linked to this particular project. And again, if I need to add a conversation here, I can click that plus sign and link it to a task if I want to. Maybe this is a task before another one. So maybe someone needs information. So I would be able to set that up even from here, opening it up from a different task. All right. So let's see, are there any questions at this point before I move on? Can you guys hear me? It looks like someone can't hear. Okay, all right. So let me, thanks for chiming in, and let me see if I can go through a couple. Can you show how to enter a conversation from the schedule screen task? Oh, sure. So that's an easy one. So hold on. Let me come into here. I'm going to open up this project. I'm going to go into the schedule. Let me go into this task here. I can open up my little task, my full details over here. Here's my conversation right here. I can add a conversation to this task right from the schedule. Same view. It's that modified view. It's not that big full screen that you typically see outside of a project, but same idea, same way to use it. So hopefully that answered your question. And let's see if there's any other. Okay, it says, can you show how to how a conversation would be linked to a task if there was already another conversation on that job? That's kind of what I just went through. So if I go, oops, I didn't want to do that. So if I was here, you know, there might be a conversation. I can open this up and I can go to conversations here. So there might be multiple conversations here and I can just click this plus sign. Same idea. But again, this might be conversation that I have on this task, but I can pick a different task, right? So do you see how it says PTO here? I can just come in and pick another task. Okay. Hopefully that answered your question. And let's see what else. Is it possible to delay when a conversation email is sent? No. Once you save it, it automatically sends out. Well, I lied. Use the draft button. But again, you'd have to remember to go back in and uncheck the draft button and then send it out. Okay, so I guess that would be a way for you to hold it and then send it out when you're ready. Okay. Can you add convos from deliverables or attach to a deliverable? Yes, you can. So let me come into my magnifying glass. Let's see if I have a deliverable here. Is this one? Do I have one in here? Let's try this one. And of course I don't, maybe not. Let me open up, let's see. Let's try this one. Okay, here. So here's a deliverable and here's my conversations. Okay, so same idea, click the plus sign. You'll start to fill it out. It's still that modified view, but I can actually have a conversation on a deliverable. Okay. So hopefully that answered your question. And let's go ahead and move on. So I've got quite a lot more to show you. So let's talk about the to-dos, okay? So coming into the help guide, you're gonna come into our help guide, you're gonna come and type in to-do. And it's gonna bring you into the help guide here. All right, so we will go through the full setup of the to-dos. And I apologize if there are other questions I missed. You can always email them into support@workamajig.com. And they can also help you and answer those questions as well. Okay. So as far as the to-do, the best way to explain it is there a checklist of action items that you can create for yourself, or if you're a project manager, you can create a list for someone else. So let's say, for example, you have a kickoff meeting and you want somebody to bring bagels and coffee. You could literally create a checklist right from that task, assign different people to it, and have those people just mark them off when they come back to their seat and they're finishing their task. Okay, so that's kind of the best way I can explain it. It's just a checklist. And also the reason they were designed is so that you can have less tasks to manage on your schedules. So it gives you a little bit more detail, so you don't have to have 20 tasks 3 levels deep. You maybe just want to put in what milestone it is, and making sure that those certain things got done within that milestone. Okay. You can add to-dos to your templates. So if you want to set them up ahead of time, you can do that, so you don't have to keep typing it over and over. You can add to-dos to a project as well as to a task and a deliverable. And so hopefully we'll get enough time that I'll be able to show you the deliverable part, and I will do my best to do that. Okay. So setup, coming into the main menu, admin manager, system setup. We're going to go back into transaction preferences, but this time we're going to go into projects. Okay. Down below, the first thing that you're going to check mark is use to do items. When you check mark use to do items, this whole section is going to populate. Okay. This is going to show up. This is where you can add types, and we even add an example. A type could be an enhancement or a bug. You can add statuses, and in this case we have new issue, fixed, in review. You guys can do whatever you guys want for your types and statuses. You don't have to use what we're showing you. Again, it's your system. You decide how you want it to work for you. Okay. Then the next thing I wanted to show you, we were talking about deliverables. You can actually create to-dos on your deliverables, and it shows right here, use to-do items with deliverables. All right, so this is, you'd have to turn it on first if you want to use it for the deliverable. Okay. Now, once you turn those things on, you're going to need to create your lists. So the first place you're going to go to is global lists. We're going to scroll down to the bottom, and here's our to-do statuses. So you can see the ones that I've created, do's, to-dos not done, rush, completed. Now, when you create your statuses, you need to pick one to be your default, which means whenever someone creates a new to-do, it's always going to default to this first one. Then you're going to want to create one that's completed or done, and you're going to mark it as yes, as completed, so that it removes it from their page that they're looking at. All right, and then the next thing I wanted to take you to is coming into our contact management, and we're going to go into conversation types. This is where you're going to create the different, I know it says conversation types, but they're used for to-dos as well. Okay, so again, you have your conversation types that are showing up here. You can even add, colors to them. You can add descriptions to them. And this is where you'd set all of that up. All right. And then the last thing I wanted to show you here is your security settings. You need to give people the rights to be able to use your to-dos. So I went into the search box. You'll highlight that security group. Maybe it was my creatives. I come in here, type in to do. I love this little search box. And these are the rights that my creatives have. Do I want them to be able to edit to-dos that aren't assigned to them, meaning they can edit other people's to-dos? I don't recommend it, but you have the option to do that. Okay. This, to me, it's okay for people to see other people's to-dos. And then of course you have view, add, edit, and delete. All right. So remember these areas, you're going to need to set them up first so that they work when you guys go to use them. All right. So once you turn on your to-dos, we have a couple of areas that you can use. The first one is a to-do board if you're a project manager. So project manager to-do board is over here to the far right. And I have everything turned on, so mine might look quite different than yours, but this page here is really designed for creatives or web developers to kind of track their to-dos in a Kanban style. So it would look like this. I know some people like to look at this Kanban view, so we give you the ability to do that with the to-do board. All right. The other way that you can do it is you can use it from the grid view as well, which is what I had the first time. You can see that it's grouping by those statuses that I had. So if these were completed, maybe I'm more concerned with things that aren't done. You can look at these to-dos by client. So click the drop down. Maybe I only want to look at one client at a time, or maybe I only want to look at ones that are related to a specific task. I can do that. Or I can say, well, I don't want to look at Shan's. I want to look at my own, right? So here I can select this, and then of course it'll adjust based on what my filter options are set for. Also over here to the right, these three dots give you those filter options again and a few extras, right? Going back to this Kanban view, these are ones where you could say, yep, I want to do this one today and maybe this one after that. So again, you get the idea, or maybe this was a rush and I want to put that under there first. So again, you get the idea of how to move them back and forth. You just drag and drop. You can add a new to-do right here. So you could fill out a to-do item from just this page. And underneath the more button, you can edit column sets. So here, what that means is I can create different views for different groups. Okay, I don't have a column set up, but you can just click in and you know, it's pretty easy to figure out. Here's your system settings again. If you want to see what's in here, how is it grouping when in ascending or descending order, right? You can edit the columns. So we don't have a ton of fields, but we do have a couple. Maybe you want to see the task, right? And coming over here to the display order, this is how it's going to look. And then of course, maybe we want to put the task, you know, over above that, hit done, hit save. And now I'm going to update it for the entire company with that new option. Okay. All right. Let's move on to our magnifying glass. So another way that you can get to your to-dos is by clicking the magnifying glass, go to views, project management, and here's your to-dos. So here I have all to-do items, hit search. And what's kind of cool about this, this view is you can actually update multiple to-dos in one shot. So it's a mass update. Here I can say update these fields, and maybe I want to assign them all to a specific person, or you know, to a project and task, or even send a notification. And you can also do it, and I apologize, I should have showed it before I came over here, but this is just a way for you guys to update things in mass. Okay, maybe you've got a ton of to-dos that, or maybe somebody quit and now they have a whole bunch of to-dos open and you want to complete those or reassign them. You can do that. Now, if I go to my grid view, I can do the same thing from here. And that's the part I didn't show you before. So change multiple to-dos, and then I still have my options to pick from. There isn't a huge list, but good enough. And if there's something you guys want us to help you update in mass, let us know and we can submit that as an enhancement request. Okay. So let's go into the Today Creatives page. And, you know, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to when you have a to-do assigned to yourself, you're going to see them on the task. So here I can see that I have 3 open to-dos on this project. So I'm just going to click that open. I'm going to go to my to-do list, and I can see that I have some things to take care of. Now, if I wanted to go ahead and complete that, I would just open that up. I could put my comment, I'm done. So the one thing with mine, I have statuses. If you guys don't use your statuses, there's going to be a button. I think it just says complete or done. So you don't have to come here to status and say it's completed. If you use statuses, then you have to pick something to mark it closed. And once you do that, do I want to save my changes? Yep. And now it's been removed off my checklist. Okay, so this is kind of the way it works. You're giving assignments. I didn't mention before, if you leave your to-dos unassigned, and if you have multiple people on that task, any of those people can complete the to-do. But if you click that to-do and you specifically assign it to someone, then that person is responsible for completing those to-dos. Okay. Also, if you go to complete a task that has to-dos that you didn't complete, when you go to close that task, the system will warn you, letting you know that you have open to-dos that you didn't complete. So at that time, you can either complete them before you finish or close your task, or you can reassign them to somebody else. All right. For those of you who want to see all of your completed to-dos, you can come over here to the more. I can say, yep, show my completed to-dos, and I can see the completed versus what I have left to do. Okay. I like the fact that I don't want to see it, so I like to complete them and hide them so that I know I'm done. All right. So those are the to-dos at the task level. Over here, you have the folder icon, and I can go into my to-dos right here. So here is that Kanban view that people like to look at. You have those same options. Here's the grid view. And again, you can just click them open as though you were in that project and task, and I can complete it if I wanted to. So again, coming in here, completing it. I don't need to make a comment, but you have the ability to do that as well. And you can see that here's the status as well over here to the right. You guys can modify this too, going into system settings. So if it's already grouping by status, then I would probably remove the status. Why do you need it twice, right? So we give you a few views. And then the last is I am going to show you that deliverable. So let's go into the deliverable here for the to-dos. Okay, I know I had a deliverable in here. Okay, so let's do it this way. Let's see. Apologize, give me a minute, I gotta find it. Oh, here it is. Okay, so once you open up your deliverable, here's your tab for to-dos. So if I had a list of to-dos set up, I could see it here. And when you go to create, when you're a reviewer for a deliverable, you're an approver, you can actually create what's called a fix this option. So if I come in here, I click, I made my, I made my comment, I can click into that, and you have this fix this. This is where you can then send this to the designer if you wanted to. And okay, you need to link it to a task. Well, what task? Maybe we're on, this art director revision. I can link it to the task. I can then send that person a notification. I can add even somebody new. Maybe everyone else is already loaded up. I can add a new person, service, put in those hours, and this now will become a new person on that task, and they will have a to-do to complete. Okay. Again, these are just options that you can use. You don't have to use them if you don't want to. And then of course, like I said, you got your conversations right next to it too. So that's all here in one place, right? So the last, there's a couple more things. I apologize. So there's different screens that you guys can use to traffic your to-dos. One is from the traffic manager or traffic calendar, resource manager, traffic calendar. And we have this box that says has open to-dos. So I can say, well, this is a way to traffic those to-dos throughout the system if you don't want to use the to-do board, right? You can see I've added this column. You're going to need to make sure you add the column so you can see it. And then of course, this is letting me know by client how many open to-dos I have. So I have 27 for Anthem, and then of course, 15 for Baylet, and you can see those. And you can open those carrots. Oops, didn't want to do that one. And you can notice I have 2 tasks here, and I have that to do. Here it is. Okay. So again, the system is going to let you know I have 2 tasks here with open to-dos, just one each, right? Well, in this case, this is a summary task, so it would just be on this subtask level. Okay, so that's one way you guys can use this. Another screen that you can use is the project manager today page. No. And then we have assignment review. Now you guys would have to create this for yourself, but I'm going to show it to you because I already have it. So I have all of assignments with open to-dos. So this is looking at every single assignment in my system. I'm going to actually show you how to modify this first. You're going to want to add the column open to-do items, and the filter needs to say open to-do items. The condition is greater than 0. Not blank, and there's another couple options. They don't work for whatever reason. This is the one that works. So open to do items greater than 0, and then it will render those assignments with the to-dos on them. And there we go. So this is why I said pull out that column so you can see how many to-dos are on on which project, and of course you can collapse them to see them this way as well. Okay, so those are just 2 ways that you guys can traffic them as well, aside from the to-do board. And then the last thing I wanted to show you is you guys can set up auto subscriptions on an employee record. If you want certain people, maybe you're a really small company and you have one person that needs to be part of every conversation and every to-do on every project, you can set that up. So here, going over to the employee record, we're going to go to projects and time, and here's my subscribe to. So I have project conversations and project to do conversations. So that means if I check mark this on Rose's employee record, every single project she's on the team of, this will automatically add her. Okay. The other thing that you can do is you can do it at a project level if you don't want to do it for every project that she's added. And I can click into that project number. I can go to the team tab, subscriptions, and here's my auto subscribe. I have it for conversations and I have it for to-dos, and I can just say, yep, my Nia needs to be part of every conversation and Tara needs to be part of every single to-do. And that means whoever creates that from this project, those people will automatically be assigned. Okay. All right, so that covers, I think that pretty much covers everything with the to-dos. And let me go in and see if there's any other last minute questions. So here's, if 2 people are assigned a task with to-dos that aren't assigned, do they both see them on their lists? Yes, they should see them on their list, and any one of the 2 can complete them. So basically whoever finishes it first wins. Okay. Do conversations show on the task cards like the to-dos if assigned to a task? No, they're going to just show up on your conversation list. So if you're responsible for doing something, then they're going to see them here and most likely under open. Okay. They might see like something that says new, unread. I think I've opened all mine. I have. So I don't have that available, but it's not going to show up like it does here where it says, you know, I have open to do. It's not going to say new conversation. All right. Let's see what else. Okay, so this question is, will the other people assigned on the to-do going to be notified when it was marked complete? That is a good question. I don't think we have a notification for when a to-do is completed. I know we have them for tasks, but let me check really quick. And I don't think we do have one for when a to-do is completed. Again, if there's multiple people on it, when somebody completes it, it's going to disappear. So they're not going to see it. Other than that, the only other place I could think of is if we had it in the employee record, and I don't believe we have a notification just for that. Okay. Great question though. Yeah. We have task reminders, but we don't have to-dos notifications. Okay. Let's see what else. Okay. Last one is, can you clarify who sees open items on the to-do board? Would I only see what I'm assigned to? No, that's what those filter options are for. So if I'm on project manager to-do board, if you only want to see your name, then you need to come here to the drop-down menu and pick your name from the list. And then this will resort itself to only show your to-dos. Okay, so that's what those filters are for. You can leave it for everything or just pick your own. All right. And that looks like that's pretty much it as far as questions go. If you guys have any questions, you can always reach out to your account managers. You can reach them at support@workamajig.com. And if later on, the webinar will be available underneath our support site. You just have to go to webinars, and then it will be listed in the 2022 webinars, and you'll be able to just click the link here. Now, it'll probably take a couple of days before we get it up here, but you can come back here and check it. And then you can, watch it again if you'd like. Anyway, hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Take care. Bye-bye.